Hello, everyone. Welcome live to 3Y TV tonight's broadcast of the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series here in the National Sim Racing Association. Tonight, we have the Dunn Raceway Park 200 here at the beautiful Milwaukee Mile, one of the famed racetracks in the United States. Unfortunately, doesn't get used a whole lot these days, but it will play host to the first race of the round of 7 here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series playoffs. I'm Peter Short, and joining me in the booth here tonight is the driver you typically see in the number 7 truck. We call him G-Money up here in the booth. It is Garrett Gleason. Garrett, great to have you here at this very, very flat racetrack.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the folks at the National Sim Racing Association allowing me to be in the booth and to represent Billy Thornton and Dunn Raceway Park. I'm really looking forward to tonight's race. In our league, also airs on 3Y TV. We ran here on Monday night. We had a pretty good race. It's going to be all about braking, and I can't wait to see what these truckers do tonight.
Yeah, that is definitely the case. It is going to be one heck of a ride here tonight because, like we said, this is go time. We are in the round of 7 here at the Milwaukee Mile, and these drivers are going to have to really be on their toes here tonight, Garrett, because this is a pretty tricky racetrack. I know you kind of found that out the hard way last week on the backstretch here at Milwaukee.
I think I hit every wall out there, so I hope these guys watch their race on Monday and they don't take any driving tips from me. So, I mean, Andrew Himmelman seems to have this place figured out as far as he's about 2/10 quicker than everybody in practice. But there's a lot of guys in this field that are capable of winning this race and really throwing a wrench into the championship or getting their first win.
Yeah, and of course, one of those drivers out there who's very, very fast in this practice session is this driver right here, Tristan Maher. Garrett, currently second fastest on the board, just about 1600ths of a second behind Andrew Himmelman. So maybe Tristan Maher might be someone to keep an eye on here tonight. We know he's a pretty aggressive driver and will be attacking this racetrack, that's for sure.
The thing about Tristan is he shows up everywhere and he's fast. It's just the mental aspect of it. He gets so down and beats himself time after time, and we joke about it in our group chat all the time, that maybe if he had a positive attitude a little more, he'd be able to capture a couple of these checkered flags, because he does get out there, he leads laps, he battles with the best of them, he just hasn't put it all together.
Yeah, so we'll see what he can do. Now, Ben Izenga in the 07 machine, he also is usually pretty fast on these flat tracks. We will see what he can do here tonight. You can see the practice session has come to a close. We are now in the pole shootout brought to you by our friends over at Craig's Setup Shop, and we already got some drivers headed out there onto the racetrack. There is JT Poole. Not sure why JT is in that scheme. We'll make sure that we got trading paints all working. It's been doing some funky things for me over the past couple of weeks, so we get that up, and he will go out there onto the racetrack in his number 26 machine. There's Matt Cherry. Ooh, he appears to maybe have had an issue coming off pit road, but a little bit different here tonight in this Craig Setup Shop pole shootout. It's open qualifying here, Garrett. Comes as a bit of a surprise to me, but all these drivers will be out there on the racetrack at the same time.
I am a huge fan of open qualifying when the track allows it, because, and I give these administrators so much credit for doing this, it just adds a little bit of an extra dynamic, because so much importance is put on getting a clean lap so you can get into your braking points and get a good run off the corner and put a hot lap and get the pole. And then obviously if you get the pole in the National Sim Racing Association, you get a chance at the Buttkicker Award, which is amazing and an awesome opportunity. Yeah,
we saw Andrew Himmelman lay claim to that last week at the Kansas Speedway here on 3Y TV. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight. Kyle Lewis is in the chat saying, "Yo, G-Money." I think, Garrett, you're going to have more fans than I will in the chat here tonight. Stay Tuned Sports saying, "What's up, everyone?" And Stephen Doziak in the chat, as well as the number 9 machine, James Arello, the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast machine, has a spin there. Currently, top of the board is the number 9 machine of James Arello. There's the 07, Ben Izenga, who was second on the board, but just got dethroned from that by one of the drivers sporting the green banners here tonight. That is JT Poole in the number 26 machine. If you see those green banners, it means that driver is in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series playoffs. There's another one, Andrew Himmelman. We'll be keeping our eyes on him. Right in front of him is Doug Neal in the 77 machine. And Neal gets loose off of turn number 4 there, coming to the line. What can Andrew Himmelman do? Tristan Maher goes fastest. He's going to jump up to top of the board, but as I say that, new fastest man in town, Garrett, Andrew Himmelman in the number 8 machine, trying to go back-to-back here and pick up back-to-back poles. As remember, he got that pole last week.
It's unbelievable how fast he is on a weekly basis, Peter. I mean, we were that young once. We were sim racing. I'm 31 years old now. I've never been that fast, so I got 15 years on him or so, and I just don't know. It's incredible, the time, the effort he puts in, and each week he's still getting better, which is the scary thing.
And if you took out Daytona back a couple of races ago, Himmelman would have 3 consecutive poles coming into tonight. He could have had 4 consecutive poles if it wasn't for Daytona, if he stays atop the leaderboard as he is right now. We're looking at Ben Izenga. Tristan Maher, there he is. Looks like he had some problems. We saw another driver back there spinning. There is Matt Cherry in the number 38 machine. Now, folks, we got to kind of highlight these drivers here. These are the drivers. These are the point standings entering in tonight. We're down to just 7. Himmelman, Lorello, Cherry, Poole, Houseman, Neal, and Darling are your final 7 drivers. We have tonight at Milwaukee. And then after Milwaukee, we go to Nashville Superspeedway next week. And next week is the cutoff race, Garrett, for the final race at Las Vegas on August 20th. So that's 2 weeks from now. We will crown a series champion. It will come from one of these 7 drivers. But, of course, we have to eliminate 3 of those drivers. That's why we have that yellow line there, cut to Final 4 after Nashville. Currently, it'd be Lorello, Himmelman, Cherry, and Poole making their way into that season finale and championship event. But we have tonight separating us, plus next week at Nashville Superspeedway separating us from that season finale. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got tonight, very flat racetrack. Nashville Superspeedway, Garrett, is a very flat 1.33 mile track. It's not a superspeedway by most people's definition of a superspeedway, but 2 very flat racetracks over the next 2 weeks before we get to Las Vegas, which is a high banked 1.5 mile to round out the series championship. But Garrett, we got about 20 seconds left, and it is still Andrew Himmelman who is fastest here in qualifying.
As you were talking about the schedule, I'm just thinking to myself, what a good mix of tracks, and tracks that people do not have thousands of laps of experience on. So that's really going to make this championship battle exciting until we get to Las Vegas. And Las Vegas, either you're going to hit a jackpot or go home with some heartbreak, and that's exactly what we're setting up for here in this league.
Yeah, so just looking to see if anyone is on a hot lap. Now, if you are on a hot lap, you can complete the lap. I think Andrew Himmelman might have just made it to the line to see if he can make this lap any better than what he's already laid down, about 0.07 of a second faster than Tristan Maher, and then another 0.02 of a second faster than Ben Izenga. Currently your top 3. Himmelman comes out of turn number 4 to the line. Does he pick it up? No, he does not. That is why he, in fact, he ran like a 30.6, so not a good lap at all for Andrew Himmelman, and I think that is going to do it here for the Craig Setup Shop Pole Shootout, and indeed it will. Andrew Himmelman again picking up the Craig Setup Shop Pole Award. Garrett, he is absolutely on a tear here, but he's had pretty much all summer to practice, as we were going to get a quick word with Andrew Himmelman. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we will, but we will quickly find out whether or not Andrew Himmelman will be picking up the Buttkicker Challenge here again. He won it last week, Garrett, so only about $10 on the line this week for that Buttkicker Challenge. But Himmelman, with this racetrack being kind of unique, he might indeed drop to the back. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, the league administration just informed me that there will be no warm-up tonight, but I'm hoping that the extra 5 minutes of time doesn't deter Andrew from going to the back, because he definitely has enough speed to make it to the front, and it would be something exciting to watch for all of us, fans, announcers, and even racers on the track.
Yeah, that is for sure. Definitely a lot of fun watching him last week charge his way through the field, Garrett, and we'll have to wait and see whether or not, like we said, he will drop to the back of the field or not. And we will quickly find that out here once these drivers get rolling off towards turn number 1. Some really good looks around this racetrack here tonight on 3 Wide TV, courtesy of our friends over at SimTV. Courtesy of our friends over at SimTV. Man, you're hearing me as I watched the YouTube broadcast. I just tuned it in to check on the chat and made it hot. So I apologize for that. It's always awkward when you hear yourself, on these things, Garrett. You're always like, man, I have to listen to myself. But anyway, I just wanted to check out the chat, see how everyone's doing. Tana Hillman saying, great job, GG. Saying up front, Stephen Doziak. Garrett Gleason saying, how did I get this job? I don't know. Actually, the story is, Garrett, that you got this job because I have known you for more than half of my life now. So I know I can trust you up here in the booth. Isn't that an odd thing to think about, that we met all those years ago sim racing, and here we are broadcasting this race together? It is pretty zany, that's for sure. But Hiddleman will get us rolling off, and Garrett, no signs of him dropping to the back of the field just yet.
That's a little bit disappointing. It's almost as disappointing as us knowing each other for as long as we have, but it's been a tremendous run, and I'm honored to have enough of your respect to do this with you, and I'll gladly do it anytime. And I'm going to get better over time. I mean, how bad could I be? We've seen the other people that we've seen up in this booth, like Doze, and he gets away with it, so that's what I'm going for.
Doze does get away with it, that is for sure. Ben Adams in the chat saying, hey guys, hey Ben, how's it going? Hopefully all your recovery is going very well, and hopefully you can get back out there on the racetrack here very, very soon in the National Sim Racing Association competition. I know you went through a lot, and sounds like you are on the road to recovery, and that is good news. Pace truck here is about to pull onto pit road, and there it goes. A very late lunge down pit road for the pace car, and green flag is in the air here at Milwaukee as we have a little bit of a smaller field than what we're used to here tonight. Himmelman leads him off into turn number 1. Izenga and Maher side by side for second, Garrett.
Hopefully Tristan could get himself a good run down the backstretch and get clear here to get in the second place. I don't think you want to be on the outside, especially this early on. But as we see the field making their way through a clean lap, that's the good thing about a smaller field. You get the quality up, and you're probably going to have some green flag racing, which is going to play into the strategy and make for a tremendous race. Yeah, and you see that side-by-side battle still raging for that second spot between Tristan Maher right there and Ben Izenga. Now look at James Lorello. Lorello, of course, one of those green banner drivers in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series playoff. We'll highlight some of those other drivers here tonight as he continues to run that lower line. Maher giving the number 9 of Lorello plenty of room here in the early running. Back behind them, JT Poole's coming down pit road. Garrett, this is a drive-through penalty that JT is having to serve here in the early running. He didn't serve it on lap number 1, but here we are on lap number 2. He's going to come down at pit road speed right there, which we can bring up right there, 50 miles an hour, right until you get to that yellow line, and then it is hammer down. So JT Poole going to be kind of in a hole here early on. Travis White, the number 23 machine, also had to take a drive-through penalty, so that is why the number 23 is running in the 18th position right now. 18th out of the 18 trucks that we have running. Meanwhile, look at this battle. This is a 24 machine. Ben Mashburn, Christopher Darling. You see Darling is one of those green banner drivers, and Matt Cherry right behind him thinking about maybe taking it 3 wide, thinks better of it as they race down the backstretch. But the 11 and the number 38, both of those drivers competing for the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series title here in the round of 7, as it looks like Cherry's going to make that pass on Darling. But Garrett, I'm seeing right now that Chris Darling's kind of stuck on that high line and doesn't seem to be able to get down to the bottom side of the racetrack, and he's just bleeding positions right now. There's nothing I want to see more tonight than for Chris Darling to have a good run and actually finish the race. He's had some bad luck in this chase playoff situation, and I'm hoping he's taking care of his stuff for the long run, and he's going to start creeping his way up there. But definitely you don't want to be stuck in that outside groove as much as he has been early on here. Ooh, the 2 machine! Oh, it's Justin White. Where's Justin White? Justin White in the inside wall. Caution flag for the first time here tonight.
We saw him get loose there, Garrett, out of the corner. I heard your voice go up. Kind of everyone's voice went up because that's such a shame. Justin was up there running around the 7th position when this all happened. Just got loose coming out of turn number 4, a little bit too much beans, and almost turned it up into Doug Neal, one of your playoff drivers, but luckily he was able to bring it back down the racetrack for Doug Neal's sake, because Doug Neal there almost. And speaking of bad luck, I mean, Doug Neal's had a lot of bad luck in that number 77 this year. He kind of lucked out there. Let's go on board here, Garrett, to walk us through it.
Well, as you can see, the sheriff, who always talks about throttle control and locking your truck down, ended up having an issue there, getting back on the gas coming out of the corner, and he did the right thing to lock it down, not come back up into traffic and impact somebody else's race, which unfortunately for him meant he found his way to the inside wall, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, we'll get this one right here on kind of a zoomed in look. Put it in slow motion. You see him trying to counter steer that truck, and then all of a sudden the weight shifts over and down toward the inside wall. The Simbox number 2 machine goes, and I think that's the second week in a row we've seen Justin White involved in an early race accident, unfortunately. So he will now have to work his way up through the field, see if he can get some of that damage repaired on that truck. We will kind of wait and see whether or not that is the case. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, we got a mixed bag of drivers doing different things here under this caution flag, Garrett. I know you were here earlier this week and had to deal with some of the tire wear that this racetrack brings. Your top 6 drivers all elected to stay out. Andrew Himmelman, Ben Izenga, Tristan Maher, Ben Mashburn, Doug Neal, Stan Hausman. But then drivers like James Zorello, Colin Ullery, Matt Cherry, so on and so forth, all the way back to the back of your field, they all came down pit road here, got fresh tires. Garrett, do you think that's going to give them a significant advantage with only about 5 green flag laps on their leaders' tires?
So on Monday night when we were racing here, tire wear was not the biggest issue. It seemed like track position and the ability to pass guys was a bigger issue. So for the guys that are back in the pack, like you see myself and Doziak do it every week, when you're in the back of the pack, there's no tire limit. Come on, get the fresh tires, and then maybe it goes green for a while and you'll have an advantage. In this case, with such little laps on the tires, I don't see it being a huge factor, but we'll have to keep an eye on it as this race goes on, because if we get a long run here, chaos could ensue.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely going to be a little bit of an interesting one here tonight. The race was advertised as a 200-mile event. Looks like it's been reduced down to a 150-mile event here in the Dunn Raceway Park. 150, but Garrett, I know you're friends with a couple of those people up there at the Dunn Raceway Park, so why don't you let the people in the chat hear about what Dunn Raceway Park has to offer?
Yeah, Dunn Raceway Park is a business here in Old Forge, Pennsylvania, run by Mr. Billy Thornton, who's the sponsor of Total Nonstop Racing, the league that I run on Mondays that some of these guys take part in. It's an indoor off-road RC course. I was actually there during the week. It is a beautiful facility, and if you live in the Northeast and you want to come check it out, I'm sure Billy has more than enough room for you to come have a good time. I know Steven Doziak just bought the whole truck and setup, and he's going to start taking part in some of the events there, so I encourage anybody else to do so as well, and I'll even come visit you if you take the journey up here.
Yeah, definitely on my list of things to do up in Old Forge, Pennsylvania. My problem is I live all the way down in Texas, so it would be quite a drive. But speaking of driving, the pace truck lights have turned off, so we're about to get back to green flag driving. Maybe not with the RC trucks, but with the Stay Tuned Sports podcast trucks here in the National Sim Racing Association. We appreciate all of you joining us here tonight. We're on lap number 10. We'll make that lap number 11 as they go across the start-finish line here. Green flag is in the flagman's hand, and he's waving it. We're back racing here at Milwaukee with the front few drivers on older tires versus drivers like James Zorello in the number 9 machine. He's on fresher tires. What can he do? Ooh, almost contact there, Garrett, with the number 38 of Matt Cherry. We saw that a little bit here when we were on 3Wide TV on Monday night. Some RG-bargy racing between some of the drivers, but now side-by-side racing here for around the 5th spot.
There's such a fine line here between giving guys space early on to not impact your race later on, and gaining track position, which is so important here. And guys like James Lorello, who's a fantastic racer no matter where we go, will end cautions out, Peter, so I'll continue that story later.
Yeah, JT Poole, one of your playoff contenders, has somehow ended up in a heap of a mess in turn number 1. Also hearing that something might have happened with Colin Ullery. Ooh, Ullery got loose. You see Ullery way loose right down there on the bottom side of the racetrack, comes up the racetrack, and oh my, what the heck just happened? That has got to be the worst bit of netcode I have ever seen. That just is not fair to JT Poole. iRacing, we heard a little bit about this on the other night, Garrett. I can't remember who it was, but when we were here at this racetrack, in the TNR race, I think it was driver of the number 19 machine, Todd Kirkwood. He hit that type of wall, and JT Poole just got yeeted up into the wall. That's just unbelievably unlucky. That's unbelievably unlucky, Garrett.
Peter, you're going to have to explain to me what just happened there. You're a lot smarter than I am. I have no words to describe that. I've never seen anything like that.
Well, iRacing has this thing that we call netcode, and we complain about it quite a bit here on 3 Wide TV, and I think everyone complains about it. But Colin Ullery clips that wall right there. You can kind of see he clips the wall. We'll see if we can we'll have to rewind it here. We'll just rewind it a little bit. It actually doesn't look like he clips the wall at all. Let's just kind of stop it there. All right. So obviously there's a little bit of daylight between Colin Ullery's number 62 machine in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. But iRacing builds in a little bit of interpolation, which is basically taking 2 points wherever those 2 points might be, and then kind of finding a point in the middle of those 2 points. And so what it does is it uses a whole bunch of fancy math and a whole bunch of stuff on the server side and on the client side, and the client side being each person's individual computer, and does some math. And sometimes the math does some funky stuff. So obviously Colin Ullery's missing that wall. Obviously, we can guarantee it, although you can see he's got some damage now on the left side of his car. Obviously, either the hitbox of that wall, the hitbox being what the game thinks is the wall versus the visual representation of the wall. They can be different. It's a video game, for goodness sakes. You can have a completely clear wall in a video game. Well, obviously, the game thinks Colin Ullery just impaled this wall. You can see all that damage on the car. Now where JT Poole is, the game has thought somehow, some way, that the 26 has impaled the wall a lot harder than it did. And so the physics right there sent the number 62 machine somehow careening up the racetrack, a invisible version of the 62 machine, and careened a invisible number 62 up into the number 26. So that is just absolutely crazy. Now we are getting word from Steven Doziak Jr. to check his onboard. So we will go ahead and do that with Steven Doziak. Here is the number 55 machine. Let's jump on board here. This is just crazy, Garrett. These are things that iRacing 100% needs to work out. I mean, it's kind of comical, really. Such a shame for JT Poole.
Such a shame for JT. He got the break with the yellow coming out after he had the service penalty, and he would have been running in the top 5 probably in no time, as usual. And to get your championship hopes ruined by something of that nature that you can't control is just truly unfortunate.
You can see there, even Colin Ullery was subject to some craziness. I almost wonder if Ullery's suspension broke on that number 62 machine, because just with the way that car kind of crumpled up. Let's see if we can look here. Now, these are some of our fictitious cams that we have here on 3 Wide TV. Let's just kind of look And you can see that suspension is, well, I can't really tell, but then all of a sudden the truck just breaks loose. I don't know if it was him trying to save it. Again, we'll have to go back and we'll have to try and get this restart here. But let's kind of go on board with him. Everything's fine, and all of a sudden it just shoots him up the racetrack. So something must have broke there on that car. But that is a big shame. Now, good news, bad news. Good news, we went back green. Bad news, we missed the restart. And bad news, we're back under caution. I don't know how much we really missed here, Garrett, but we're hearing that Tristan Maher, the number 17 machine, might be involved. Oh yeah, just contact there as Maher was trying to fit in, and Doze gets involved. Oh man, this is another one that we're going to have to break down. But this one, I think we're going to have to go to the blimp cam to get this one, Garrett.
Unfortunate events there. I was so enamored with your analysis of the last caution. We missed the green there briefly, but they didn't stay green for long. As you can see, Tristan looks like he's trying to get in the hole here. Well, maybe not. He thought about it. Yeah, he's trying to clear it, and yep, there's not much give and take there. I don't know if net code was involved or not, but two drivers going for the same spot.
Yeah, and Doug Neal, playoff driver, getting involved. Adam Dama, the Army Esports Racing Machine, getting involved. Jason Shue there at the top of your screen, the number 3 machine, doing a burnout. And unfortunately, it looks like Tristan Maher's night is done very, very quickly as that machine is now smoking. So let's see if we can go on board here kind of with the rear cam view going off in towards turn number 1 here. Again, watch the 07 machine of Ben Izenga. You kind of see out the front there. Might have been a little bit of contact there with Andrew Himmelman as the 17 came down the racetrack. Maybe that caused the 17 to check up, but Izenga definitely gets into the back of Tristan Maher in a night where we expected Tristan Maher to be very, very quick. He was very, very quick. Great in practice. You see the Dunn Raceway Park logo there right on the rear quarter panel of the truck. Gets clobbered a couple of times, Garrett, and it appears to be night done for Tristan Maher.
I talked about it before the race that Tristan has bad luck, and sometimes he beats himself. Well, he didn't beat himself in this instance, but regardless, his night is over. Well, it's more than likely over, at least as far as contention goes. He'll be taking the Master Millwright truck to the garage. And Peter, if the race keeps up like this, I'm going to have to go jump in the 7. I could probably get a top 10 out of this deal.
Yeah, you probably could. I'm just looking up and down the scoring pile, and I think we've whittled down a field of 18 now down to a field of 14. As Tristan Maher, although Justin White's still in his pit box, he's multiple laps down. We'll see whether or not he can stay running here tonight. But Tristan Maher, 17 machine out. Colin Ullery, JT Poole, both of them sitting in their pit box. You see Justin White is now rolling back onto the racetrack. So by my math, I do believe that Justin White should be a Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award under this caution flag, so getting one of his laps back. So he obviously had an extended stay on pit road, Garrett, to get some of the damage repaired after the first caution flag of the night came out. But we are doubling them up here for the restart. Hopefully we can stay green for a little bit longer than we had before. We got Tana Himmelman in the chat saying JT unfairly got to put it out. Yeah, absolutely. Jeffrey Vickery exclaiming wow to the JT Poole incident, and Colin Ullery. Tana Himmelman saying the only thing I know about Milwaukee is Laverne and Shirley. Well, if you got any questions, maybe we can answer them. We probably can't. But the pace truck is headed down pit road. Yeah, we can't answer everything up here in the chat. We can try, Garrett. We can make it entertaining for the chat, but that's about all we can do. As space truck is on pit road, green flag back in flagman's hand, and Ben Izenga here, Garrett, leading us green.
Seems like we had a little bit of different pit strategy on that yellow, Peter. I don't know if it correlates with some type of fuel window or just tire wear, but I believe Andrew ended up pitting and some of the other guys. So this is your opportunity. If you didn't pit, it's your opportunity to gain that track position, stay out, and run some fast laps like Ben Izenga is doing right now as he leads the field.
We got JT Poole in the chat saying he's got 40 minutes and he'll be back out there on the racetrack. Well, if things are going the way they're going, JT, you might pick up some more spots because of the early race attrition. You're seeing Andrew Himmelman here who, Garrett, like you mentioned, did just come down pit road on lap number 18. He is just getting his way around the number 23 of Travis White, so move Andrew up now to the 5th position once again. Stan Hausman, one of our playoff drivers, running the Beer Street Journal number 39 machine, BSJ, of course, beerstreetjournal.com. Make sure you check them out, as well as all the other series sponsors. Looks like Andrew Himmelman making the pass on Chris Darling to move himself now up into 4th in those fresh tires. Definitely Himmelman has had a lot of pace here tonight. Stay Tuned Sports saying, sometimes I hate kids. LOL, what did I miss? Bro, you missed a lot. You missed JT Poole, Colin Ullery having a very unfortunate iRacing glitch wreck with their infamous netcode. You also missed Tristan Maher getting involved in an incident after a little bit of contact with Ben Izenga and Andrew Himmelman up at the front of the field. Unfortunately, Doug Neal, one of our playoff drivers, getting quite a bit of damage in that particular accident. JT Poole saying that Colin Ullery used the force on him. It's what it looked like, 100%. And Stay Tuned Sports saying, oh man, I love glitch wrecks. This one, no trucks went flying. Unfortunately, more trucks just got flying into the wall. But no airborne incidents this time, unlike a lot of those iRacing glitch wrecks when a car gets launched up into the stratosphere. But anyway, let's jump up to this battle. This is the battle for the 3rd spot. Right now, Matt Cherry has it. Andrew Himmelman right on his rear tailgate. You see Ben Izenga, James Arello starting to scoot away just a little bit. Himmelman gets a run out of turn number 2, has a little bit of look to the inside of turn number 3. Cherry with a little bit of a wiggle opens up the door, and here comes Himmelman. This is for 3rd.
Looks like Andrew's going to make short work of the 38, although the 38 truck seems to have a lot of speed, and I wouldn't count him out, that's for sure. Andrew should clear him here going into 1. Well, or make a liar out of me, Andrew. Either way. But I just wanted to say, you're talking to the chat, and it is so nice to have a sponsor like Stay Tuned Sports who is so involved in the weekly events. He's here in the chat every week, talking to everyone, and that's truly incredible for a league such as NSRA to have a sponsor like Stay Tuned Sports.
Yeah, of course, the first Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series champion will be crowned here 2 weeks from tonight at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Matt Cherry here, Garrett, appears to maybe have his brake bias a little bit too far rear, as that truck has been kicking a little bit sideways on entry. Let's see if we see that again here from the onboard camera as he goes off into turn number 3. You see him just having to do a little bit of counter steering before he gets to the apex here, and then he cranks quite a bit of wheel in it, especially in turn number 1 and 2. You can see that truck just get light as he puts the power down. The rear tire just not gripping up the way he exactly would want to. There it is again, just kicks out the rear end, throws a little bit of counter steer in it, gets it pointed in the right direction, and then is able to power it off. Unfortunately, he is losing ground to Andrew Hillman right now, however. Best battle for position on the racetrack is right here. This is Stan Hausman, who has the 7th spot. Ben Mashburn wants to pick up that position. Of course, Stan Hausman, Garrett, who got into the playoffs by winning a Super Speedway race earlier in the season. Once he got that win, which came all the way back at Talladega Super Speedway in the month of June, Stan has been just steady. That's the best way to describe it. He got himself into the playoffs, and here tonight with a couple of these playoff contenders having a bad night, perhaps this is an opportunity for Stan Hausman to capitalize on this situation and walk away here in a really good position, although he had a big wiggle there out of turn number 4. A good position here over the next couple of races to qualify for the Championship 4.
Yeah, I almost put the commentator's curse on poor old Stan there as he was coming off the corner. But Stan's victory earlier this season was one of the feel-good moments of the year, as far as I'm concerned. Everybody, which is rare in racing, everybody was happy. Everybody was happy that he won that race. And I know you slightly alluded to Ben Mashburn, who also had a Super Speedway victory, and that was an incredible win on his part as well, because he was so far behind the field and ended up catching up, and that was a tremendous race.
Now, James Arello just caught his teammate Ben Izenga. This is the pass for the race lead, folks. As you see Izenga way up out of the racing groove. You really want to be down there on that slightly darker tarmac down there. There's actually, that's where the grip is on this racetrack. You see Lorello able to squeak on by, and then Andrew Himmelman able to follow Lorello on through for this position. So move Lorello to the lead, Himmelman to second. As we saw that 3-wide TV replay, this is what it looks like about one lap from where we just left off on that replay. Lorello leading Himmelman by just about 2 truck lengths as they head off towards turn number 3. But yeah, Stan Hausman definitely could pick up some good points here tonight, some important points, although Doug Neal is hot on his tail. A couple of the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series playoffs. Jordan Scheffler and Adam Dama, this is a battle for position as well. Scheffler underneath Adam Dama right here. Dama was in the 11th position. Give that now to Jordan Scheffler. They're running right behind Vincent Valvano, who's about 3 or so seconds up the road from their good run so far for Vinny here tonight, Garrett. As looks like Himmelman's got to run out of turn number 4, poking to the inside. Number 9 versus number 8 as they go off through turns number 1 and 2.
I was going to allude to this the last time we showed this battle. It seems like James is taking a little bit higher line into the corner so he can diamond the corner on the way out as they kind of switch going into this corner. But that's interesting, an interesting dynamic to watch as the race goes on, because if James could run that second groove a little bit, like a tire track outside the dark asphalt there, perhaps he can hold Andrew behind him. But here comes Andrew for the lead.
I think it was only a matter of time. The fresher tires on the number 8 Simshot Chevrolet underneath the number 9 Stay Tuned Sports Podcast truck. That is driven by James Arello. They are still side by side, but as I mentioned, that slightly darker asphalt down there on the lower groove through turn number 3 and 4, that's where the grip is there, and that is what allowed Himmelman to complete that pass. So your pole sitter here tonight not participating in the Buttkicker Challenge. Garrett, of course, Andrew won the Buttkicker Challenge last week at Kansas Speedway, so he was able to pocket some extra change in his iRacing account. But now that number 8 Simshot's machine can try and set sail. If you're wondering how much fresher his tires are, well, it's 11 laps between himself and the number 9 of Lorello. And Garrett, remember that about 2/3 of the way through this season, they changed the fuel capacity of the trucks here in this series. It went from about a 60% fuel tank to a 100% fuel tank. So we could have potentially a long green flag run before we see pit stops here tonight at Milwaukee.
Peter, I'm going to show my ignorance here for a second, because I'm not sure, but we may have a stage break about 1/3 of the way through, so I'm not sure if that's going to come into play. You guys would know better than me. But if not, Andrew definitely has the opportunity to pull away and start putting a gap, but James is hanging in there strong for 11 laps older tires in second place.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That stage break will be happening at lap number 50 here tonight. So I guess we will wait and see whether or not we stay green flag until lap number 50 is come and gone. Looking at this battle for position right here, Ben Mashburn in the number 24 has worked his way up into the 4th position. You see Matt Cherry and Chris Darling side by side. Cherry going around the outside of the Taz Racing Customs number 11 of Darling. Darling in that Ford F-150 right down there on the bottom side of the racetrack. Drifts up just a little bit, almost contact there. A couple of Fords, in fact the highest 3 Fords in the field. You're looking at them all right here with Mashburn, Cherry, and Darling. But of course, this is an important battle for Darling and Cherry as they both sport those green banners in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series playoffs. But oh, Cherry gets wicked loose. What a save from the number 38 machine coming out of turn number 4. We have to dial that one up on the replay.
What an amazing save by the 38 there. And of course, as usual, you're such a professional. You were right on that battle as it happened, as he lost control and saved it.
Yeah, you see that counter steer. Oh my goodness, that wheel was completely upside down to get that thing pointed in the right direction. Darling was also able to get around Ben Mashburn, so move Chris Darling up to the 4th spot in front of Mashburn. Cherry now going to try and run him down. And look who's starting to creep back into this picture. It's Stan Hausman, the Beer Street Journal, number 39, the Ford right there. So now we got a little bit of a Ford train right here. Darling, Mashburn, Cherry, and Houseman, all 4 Fords in a row. 4 Fords in a row. I probably can't say that 4 times fast.
I'm willing to sit here and wait for you to say it 4 times fast if you want, Peter.
No, I ain't going to say it 4 times fast. That just, no one in the chat would like to hear that, I'm sure. It won't come out pretty. But Cherry's still suffering a loose race car as Houseman's finding himself back up into 7th. Travis White under fire from Vincent Valvano, as a couple of these drivers have been able to get past Doug Neal, who's nursing a wounded car there, Garrett, a wounded truck. Definitely doesn't seem to quite have the pace we expected of him, although he is running exactly where he started in the 10th spot from where we dropped the green flag as we close in on the one and only stage caution that we have here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, Dunn Raceway Park 150 here tonight at the Milwaukee Mile.
Well, I'm hoping for Doug's sake that this yellow is going to come out and he can get some repairs done to that number 77 and get back in the hunt here. He's still maintaining a decent pace. You can see 5th place in his windshield, so he's not that far behind if he could get the right adjustments and repairs made.
Yeah, so we'll have to see just how much damage is. Oh man, Matt Cherry again getting really slideways there coming out of turn number 4. Not as good of a save as the last one, but still a top drawer save from Matt Cherry. I'm just wondering, Garrett, if he's abusing those rear tires. Remember, we saw him going off into the corner, getting that number 38 truck, kicking it out sideways on entry, possibly just using a little bit too much rear brake. I wonder if that's overheated the rear tires. We saw them sliding around a lot, and even then we saw him kind of counter-steering the truck up off the corner. It seems like he is needing fresh tires right now. That is for sure on the number 38 Ford F-150. As we now just have 5 laps till the stage caution is thrown.
The tires in that number 38 machine have to be cooked at this point. If not, he thinks he's not getting enough TV time, but we can assure him James Lorello's having a problem, Peter.
Lorello goes around on the front stretch. Caution flag is in the air, and I think this will, from a bigger picture, Garrett, I think Lorello's going to lose all of his stage points that he would have picked up here. So Himmelman's going to win. I believe this will double as the stage caution flag with this caution flag coming in. So Himmelman's going to win the stage. Izenga is going to finish in 2nd because, remember, there are stage points on the line here in the stage caution. Lorello unofficially will be 3rd, but he brought out the caution. I believe that, I think, would negate his points. I could be wrong in saying that. That will be something that the league officials would have to look at. Chris Darling behind him in 4th, Ben Mashburn 5th, Matt Cherry in 6th, Dan Houseman in 7th, Travis White in 8th, Vincent Valvano in 9th, and then Doug Neal in 10th. And just possibly, if Lorello does lose those stage points, it would go to Adam Dama. And the reason I say that would lose the stage points is, Garrett, of course, the penalty for causing a caution is an end of longest line penalty. So we will see whether or not exactly when the number 9 of Lorello gets that. Of course, I believe those stage points will also be handed out on lap number 50. So if Lorello gets that penalty, and he has to start from the end of the longest line anyway, on lap number 50 or 51, 52, whenever we go back green, I'm sure... Ooh, Lorello also slid through his pit box. He's still not in his pit box. That is also going to cost him. Of course, if he's going to get an end of longest line penalty, probably not going to cost him a whole lot because he's going to be back there anyway. But just something to be mindful of going forward. I mean, that could be very critical for James Lorello in his points tally here in the round of 7.
If you're in that number 9 truck right now, as James, you're a talented racer. You know you're a talented racer. That could have been a lot worse. So whatever you lost in the short term there, stage points wise, track position wise, you know you're good enough to get up to the front, and he was running a strong 2nd place at the time. So big picture is what matters right now. You have to put this behind you, and when this green flag comes out, you have to be smart and get your way back to the front and pick up every point and position that you can.
That is for sure. Now we're looking at Justin White in the number 2 Simbox machine. We thought that maybe Justin would be receiving the the Lucky Dog Award brought to you by our friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital. We have not seen him get way past the pace truck just yet. It's a bit of a surprise on whether or not he will get that. But for all of you Justin White fans back at home, he is currently being scored 8 laps behind Andrew Himmelman. So it would take quite a few cautions to get that number 2 machine back onto the lead lap. Of course, involved in an early accident, Garrett.
Is it possible that the 55 was the lucky dog on that caution, Peter? Because I thought he was 1 lap down before the yellow came out.
Maybe. He's on pit road, so you're probably right there, Garrett. It probably is Steven Doziak. That total nonstop racing number 55 machine, Garrett. It's a bit beaten up there. I think you might need to fire Doze. Back in the EA Sports days, if you didn't perform in the career mode, your sponsor would drop you. And Steven, I know you're in the chat, buddy. You're on the hot seat here tonight. But hopefully that Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award does help, and hopefully you can get that damage repaired. But pace truck lights are off, so he doesn't have any more opportunities to get that damage repaired on the number 55 truck. So he's just going to have to race it here, and we'll be getting back green here very shortly.
I'm looking forward to a long green flag run. I have a feeling these guys have it in them, and I really think it's gonna make a difference at who's coming and who's going here on this run. Somebody like Chris Darling, who over his career has been good on the long run, this might be their opportunity to gain that track position. He's starting, I believe, in the second row there as we go. We're getting ready to go green here.
About set to go back green flag here into the second third of the race here on lap number 52. Himmelman, who was your pole sitter, is your race leader. Ben Izenga going to slot into second right in front of Chris Darling. Look at Matt Cherry, number 38, digging around the outside. Ben Mashburn in the Mac Tonight. I love that Mac Tonight scheme. Of course, Bill Elliott ran it back in the day when he used to run the number 94. And really, in my opinion, one of the best schemes to come out of the Bill Elliott McDonald's era. Just absolutely love it, and I love seeing that Ben Mashburn is running it himself. James Arello looking to the inside now of Matt Cherry as he tries to climb his way back up through the field. Oh, a little bit of contact between them. Cherry again, a huge wiggle, but another stellar save out of the driver of the number 38 machine there, Garrett.
If we have had a good hands award for the race, Matt Cherry would have had it by lap 3. He is just making some incredible saves. I'm curious as to why he's not adjusting the brake bias in his truck. Maybe he has, and it's just not helping him. But he's definitely been the point of excitement in the 54 laps we've had so far.
That's kind of an odd one. I think the 38 was loose, and then I think the number 9 came up the racetrack and they made contact. Let's see if we can maybe go back one more time and see if we can go on board here with the driver here of Matt Cherry. See if we can figure out what happened. Did he get loose? He's turning. I wouldn't say he's necessarily loose just yet. He might have just started to get loose there. Let's go back one more time here, get another look at it, roll back the tape, and I don't know. It might have just been the number 9 machine coming up, making contact. But like you said, definitely the good hands driver of the race for sure, already picking up that title in the opening 56 laps or so. You see he has found a little bit of a bubble out there on the racetrack. Travis White in front of him, then Lorello in 5th. But up at the front of the field, Andrew Himmelman and Ben Izenga, those two have checked out on Chris Darling. About 2.5 seconds between Izenga and the number 11 machine as they run.
Looks like Ben Izenga in that number 07 truck is studying Andrew Himmelman, trying to pick up his line, perhaps get a little bit quicker, and then when the end of the race comes, maybe he'll be right there. But it doesn't seem like anybody has the speed to pass the A truck at this point in time. So Ben Adams, if you're out there and you're watching the race as you're recovering, we're all thinking about you, but you could go to bed. Your wife will wake you up if there's a problem. All right, we have it under control.
Let's go on board here with the driver of the number 24 machine. We were just talking about him a little while ago, Ben Mashburn, down to about 100 or so miles an hour in the center of these corners, and then onto the straightaway up to about 145 before they get back on the brakes. This racetrack here, it's a mile in length, but obviously one of the flattest racetracks that NASCAR ever goes to, and unfortunately they haven't been to the Milwaukee Mile in quite some time. There's a lot of questions about what's going to happen to this racetrack in real life. Of course, it was a staple on the IndyCar schedule for many years, and in fact, that's really where it got its fame. And if you're a NASCAR fanatic, you would know that Pocono Raceway actually has one of its three corners modeled after the banking here at Milwaukee. It's the final corner. Turn number 3 at Pocono is modeled after these long, sweeping, flat corners. And I have to say that this racetrack is so iconic. It's got 100 years of history, this particular racetrack. I mean, really, if you were to look back at the record books of racetracks in the United States, you would find Indianapolis, obviously, on page number 1. It's got the oldest history going back to the early 20th century. And then, you might find Daytona, but really Daytona International Speedway in its current iteration has only been around since, the early 60s? Around 1960? So this racetrack, the Milwaukee Mile, has started. They started racing here almost as early as the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and of course it's part of the State Fair of Wisconsin. And SaveTheMile.org is actually an organization put together to help try to save the Speedway, to try and get races hosted here, because it just hasn't been doing well. And it was, of course, paved in 1954, but it was originally a dirt track, and has been just going on forever, all the way back to, they did horse racing back here in the late 19th century, and then, of course, first motorsports event, 1903. So a pretty crazy history here for this racetrack, and that's why people like SaveTheMile.org have come out to try and conserve this piece of racing history, because, Garrett, you and I know we've lost so much racing history here, as Ben Mashburn has a big slide. We've lost a lot of racing history here over the last 10 to 20 years as Lorello dives to the inside of Darling here, and these two have a little bit of a history between them. This time, maybe Darling giving a little bit of a nudge. That might have been some of that history coming back right there, Garrett.
That could have been a lot worse. It's these two are always fighting over the same piece of racetrack, it seems, week after week, and when that happens, you start to think somebody has your number, because they're constantly around you. It's like having a stalker. No matter where you look, he's there, and when that's in your head, it gets so frustrating to race with that person, because it seems like no matter what you do, you have your best corner, they're still with you. You try to pass them, you just don't have the run, and it's an ongoing thing mentally, and the yellow's out.
Well, we'll get another look at this real fast. We're hearing that James Arello has indeed crashed, and I wonder if this was kind of step one and if there was something more to come of it. Let's see what happened here. Looking out back, Chris Darling right back behind James Arello, going off into the corner. Darling getting closer, gives him a nudge, and Lorello spins it up into the wall. Garrett, I can't say I didn't see that coming.
I was hoping that was one of those things that just wasn't going to happen, but it seemed like once they were together, it was bound to happen, and that's just unfortunate. Two guys in the playoffs can't put this little feud behind them and just race, because it's lap 65 at 150. You're not racing for the win there, and I don't know. I'm not in Chris's head. I don't know if he's trying to hit him or if he just had the run, didn't want to lift because of who it was, but a little more give and take I would like as a sim racer myself.
And let's not forget, last season, James Arello had such a stellar season. His entire season was derailed at Michigan International Speedway last season. And it wasn't of his own doing. He got wrecked. Is something like that going to happen here tonight? Can Lorello come back from this? Again, he's overshot his pit box. needs to work on those brakes. But I'm sure Lorello will be racing this remainder of tonight's event with keeping that in mind. I mean, I don't know if there was anything else that kind of went into that, and maybe we can go back and see if maybe Lorello, did anything to provoke this additional contact here tonight. But we know that those two have history, and again, that history showing its bad head again here tonight.
It's just one of those things. Like whether it's when it happens, you get that reputation that when you race around somebody that's going to happen the next time, you try to be more careful because you don't want those eyes on you. With these two, it doesn't seem to matter what they do. They just always find each other. But let's take a look at the replay here.
So this was about a lap prior. Chris Darling going off into turn number 1 and 2. James Zarello right here. Darling, everything seeming okay between these two drivers here. Let's see if there's anything in 3 and 4. Lorello getting really tight, maybe giving just a kiss to that back bumper, the number 11. Not sure if that, doesn't look like Chris Darling really felt that at all, but watch. The number 9 machine gets absolutely blocked there by the 11 of Darling. Lorello able to go a little bit lower on the racetrack to get on by him, and then it was just about a lap later that there was that initial nudge that we saw. Obviously, Darling not happy with Lorello, period. It didn't seem like there was anything really provoking that from tonight. But and then just a lap later, it ended up with James Zarello in the catch fence. So we will see if that pops up any more tonight. But the Chris Darling and James Zarello feud continues here. And very similar, Garrett, to what happened to James Zarello last season, where he got put out of the playoffs. And for a driver who puts together an entire season like that, to kind of have it all derailed by a little bit of contact. Now, I don't know. I mean, I'm saying that there was definite contact there. Not sure. Maybe Darling just screwed up. It happens, but
right.
It's a storyline. It's a storyline.
Chris has been my friend for as long as you've been my friend, so I'm going to let the administrators do their jobs. It's Justin White who does a tremendous job administrating. But as far as that incident goes, I mean, I didn't see anything wrong when Chris got past. You can use the bumper here. We saw it on Monday night, so I don't think that was enough. But maybe Chris just got a run and didn't want to lift. I don't know. I still would like to see a little more give and take as we're getting ready to go back green here, Peter.
Yeah, Justin White has taken his truck to the garage, so green flag is back in the air. Ben Izenga going to slot into second. Travis White, the number 23 machine, now finds himself up inside the top 3. There he is. How about that run for the number 23? Although Chris Darling now looking to the inside. Ben Mashburn is running in 5th. Right there in the Big Mac Tonight machine. Then Jordan Scheffler, Stan Hausman, Vincent Valvano leading a little bit of a train right here. Vinny inside the top 8. And oh my goodness. Commentators curse as Travis White has gone around, gets hit by Colin Ullery, whose engine looks like it has gone up in smoke again. For the second time tonight, Colin Ullery's truck is done. Travis White, his truck is now done, and we're back under caution.
What a shame for the 23. He's been somebody that I was racing with at the back of the pack weeks ago, and now he's been improving each week and getting up here running in the 3rd position, and just lost control of it coming out of 4 there, and that inside wall is not forgiving. And I hope the chat says they couldn't hear me, so I hope they can hear me this time.
Yeah, hopefully they can hear you. Everything's good on my end on everything, your audio. Just saying, yeah, you're lower than Peter. Well, I'll give him a boost. Here, I'll try and boost him up as much as I can. There we go. Let me know if that helps in the chat. So let's get another look at that incident here just a moment ago with this driver right here. And Garrett, I want to make note that there was definite contact there between the 11 of Chris Darling, who kind of poked his nose in. We'll get one more look at that here because I don't think I hit the live button in time. But there was contact right there, kind of bumpy bumps between the 11 and the number 23. I wonder if that heated up Travis White's rear tires and then just gets out of the corner. And you can see that going heavy into the wall. And then he gets a hit right there from the number 9 of Lorello, then gets another hit from the number 62 of Colin Ullery. And both of those trucks smoking. And it looks like, unfortunately for them, Knight Dunn. You see Vincent Valvano on pit road. Andrew Himmelman's on pit road. Lorello, of course, on pit road, getting his damage repaired. Also probably getting some of that damage repaired from that contact that he just had with the spinning number 23. But Steven Doziak, I think, has called it quits. Travis White, I believe, has called it quits. So I think we're down to just 12 trucks here tonight, Garrett, which is pretty crazy. We know Lorello's had his problems. We know Doug Neal's had some problems here tonight. So, wow. This field so far, we're not even to the halfway mark, and we've almost lost half the field. What a race of attrition.
I'm going to wipe up my tears from not being in this race because I feel like with my strategy of staying in the back, I definitely would be in position for a good run tonight. But if you're one of those guys that normally run in the back of the pack and you're here tonight and your truck doesn't have any damage, this is your opportunity. Get up there, mix it up. Vincent Valvano, for example, was having a tremendous run last week and got a speeding penalty. He was in the top 10 solidly all race long. If you're Jason Shue, who's working on his craft, getting better each week, get the top 10. Mix it up with some of these faster guys and see what they have and see how you can improve your racing strategy and ability to compete with these guys on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see a lot of different strategies amongst a lot of different drivers on their way. I know your strategy, like to stay in the back, but, we'll see these different drivers with different strategies. I've seen a lot of really hard racing here tonight amongst a lot of these drivers. And, you have to race these drivers each and every week. And when you do race these drivers each and every week, you get to learn a little bit about them. You get to learn their different strategies. You get to learn how they race. And, sometimes things kind of come to a head, especially late on in a season. I think we might be seeing some of that here tonight. But, yeah, Garrett, I think your strategy could have been a winning strategy here tonight, just kind of laying in the back with the way things have gone. But we're going to be getting set here for another restart right on the halfway mark here of tonight's Dunn Raceway Part 150. I think you might not see as much contact as what we have seen here tonight, Garrett, on the indoor off-road RC track that Dunn Raceway Park has up there in Old Forge. But it's been one heck of a wild show. I think what we need to do is we need to start putting jumps here on the racetrack like they have at Dunn Raceway Park. It might just make it that much more exciting.
I'm all for it, Peter, but this is a beautiful racetrack, and I know you were talking earlier about save the track, and as somebody who came here Monday with low expectations about the racing, it was a tremendous track. By the end of the night, everybody was telling me how much they enjoyed themselves. So that's a credit to iRacing for having the track for people to enjoy and get the momentum back to get some racing back at the Milwaukee Mile. And we're going green here again.
Yeah, green flag is whipped around from Barney, the flagman here in iRacing as they head off towards turn number 1. It is Ben Izenga in his 07 machine. Ben Mashburn going to follow into second. Christopher Darling now back into third as they race their way out of turn number 2. Doug Neal side by side back there with Stan Hausman, a couple of your playoff drivers here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. That number 77 of Neal trying to hook that bottom line of the racetrack. Because, Garrett, I've run this racetrack quite a few times here in the iRacing Simulator. It's one of the older tracks here in iRacing, so especially back in the first few years of iRacing, this track used to get used a lot. But from what I have found about this particular racetrack is there are some grippy spots and then there are some not grippy spots. And the grippy spots that you really want to be is right down here on the white line. Now, we are seeing right now, going to break away from that for a quick second because James Arello in the number 9 machine, he has called it quits here tonight. The number 9 machine, the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast truck, is out here at the Milwaukee Mile. He will be scored with the 12th place finish. We're down to just 11 trucks here tonight between Ben Izenga and Jason Shue in the number 3 truck right there. That's your entire field. We have gotten almost to a 50% retirement rate in the first half of the race. We're now into the back half of the race. Vincent Valvano gets passed there by Jordan Schepler as Andrew Himmelman starting to make his climb back up towards the front of the field. I believe he got, I don't know if he got a speeding penalty or not, but Himmelman dropped all the way to the back of the field but he did just get tires on the number 8 machine. So with the fresher tires, he should be able to make some fairly quick use. But he's still got a ton of time here, Garrett, to make it to the front of the race, front of the field before the end of the race. He makes another pass here on Doug Neal to the inside. So he's back up to 6th. He's got Houseman, Cherry, Darling, Mashburn, and Izenga to run down.
With how unpredictable this race has been so far, with guys getting squirrely out of the turns and maybe some temper flaring, if you're Andrew and you've established that you may have the truck to beat, it does get a little nerve-wracking coming through the field. But as long as he takes it one truck at a time here and works his way back up to the front, he should be in good shape. But it's definitely making me nervous watching it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Looks like Himmelman makes the pass now up to 5th. So next truck in line is Matt Cherry right in front of him. Got a good battle back here for position. Adam Dama, the number 82, the Army Esports Racing Machine, with Vincent Valvano and Doug Neal. This is 8th, 9th, and 10th. As you see, Jason Shue just a little bit further back in the number 3 machine. Neal looking to the inside. But how about our playoff drivers here tonight? Well, your top 2 are not playoff drivers. You have to go back to Chris Darling, who's the first one. Matt Cherry and Andrew Himmelman are your next 2. And then how about Stan Houseman running there in 6th? He's your 4th highest place playoff drivers. Here tonight is Himmelman going to make the pass here on Matt Cherry with the fresher tires in the SimShot Chevy Silverado. We'll bring up the point standings entering tonight as Himmelman, Lorello, Cherry, Poole, Houseman, Neal, Darling. That's how they entered the show. But with Himmelman now working his way up into 4th, Lorello's out. Matt Cherry is now running in 5th. Then you have JT Poole, who is out. Then you have Stan Houseman, who's running in 6th. Then you'd have Doug Neal, who's running down in 10th. And Chris Darling, probably the highest place of the playoff drivers, he is running in 3rd. So it could be a pretty big shakeup here tonight in the round of 7 before we go next week to Nashville Super Speedway. I'll tell you what, Garrett, only drama here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series here to kind of close off the season. That's kind of what you want to see if you have this playoff format. You want to see these drivers really going for it, and that's what they're doing tonight.
Absolutely, Peter, and I'm so glad that you were here to explain that to me, because I got lost after the first name you read. So I'm glad you know what's going on and you can lead me through this. But that's the excitement of the playoff format, and as the league administrators probably sat down and talked about before, like, how do we make our chase exciting? You don't want to have a chase / playoff or whatever that gets to the point where somebody just runs away with it. You want to have those weekly battles and that excitement up until the very last race, and then you crown your champion. And you don't want anybody to feel like they're out of it because they have one bad race. And I think this league does a great job of that, keeping that excitement up until our final race at Vegas this season.
So we are seeing right now Andrew Himmelman got around Chris Darling to move himself up into 3rd, the highest placed playoff driver as well in that regard. He works his way through turn number 1 and 2, trying to close in on Ben Mashburn. And has just been a little bit faster than Ben Mashburn. We'll see if we can bring up that graphic here between these 2 drivers over the last couple of laps. Last time by, Himmelman was a full half second faster than Ben Mashburn. We'll see what it's like this time across the start-finish line. I mean, a half second, that's significant. Let it come up right there. That time, another half second. So Himmelman really closing in on the back of the number 24 Mack tonight, Ford F-150. And I'm sure Himmelman will kind of dive underneath him here very, very soon, I would assume. And looks like he's kind of hooking that bottom line, Garrett, where I said all that grip is on this racetrack. And Mashburn there missing it. That's one of the things where you just have to have patience of as a driver. In my opinion, this particular racetrack, it has always benefited me to back up the corner to ensure hitting the apex rather than really charge the corner, because if you charge the corner and you miss that apex, there's just no grip. There's no grip in that high line, especially through turn number 3 and 4, so backing up the corner is important. Now, what we are seeing here is Ben Mashburn running a very defensive line, and Himmelman says, you know what, Peter, forget that. I don't believe you that there's no grip up there. He tried to make it stick, and now he's got a pretty good run down the front stretch, but Ben Mashburn goes to cover once again.
I want to agree with your point about the low line here. When we were practicing here on Monday night, our good friend Mike Floppy Tellier told me low and slow. Get yourself slowed down first. Get in that darker area and make sure you get the grip off. And Andrew is making an incredible pass on the outside here. If he could keep some momentum going on the front stretch, doesn't look like he's going to have enough this time. But if you're Ben Mashburn in the 24, run your race. You have enough speed. There's not that many trucks in the field. Take care of your stuff and be there at the end, because you might be able to hold off Andrew, but why abuse your tires this early on in the run? Because if this stays green, you might be wishing you didn't. And there's a spin behind him.
Matt Cherry in the number 38 machine. One of your playoff drivers goes around coming out of turn number 4. Caution flag does wave. Let's see if we can go back and see what happened here with Matt Cherry coming out of turn number 2. Gets really low there on the racetrack and lights up the rear tires, goes around right in front of Stan Hausman. Stellar job by Stan Hausman to go below the spinning Matt Cherry. In fact, let's see if we can get a look here on board with the Beer Street Journal machine. Coming out of turn number 2, Cherry starts to go around. Hausman says, I'm going to take it down into the basement, all the way down into the grass. That was one great wreck avoidance there from Stan Hausman, Garrett.
Great job, Stan. I mean, that's one of those things, you see that truck going around in front of you, and either you have to make a split-second decision. Do I go low towards the grass or do I go high towards the wall? Either way, you just hope for the best. I mean, some guys might even close their eyes as they're going through there. But Stan did a tremendous job, and he gets to move on with his race here. But I don't think the 38 is going to take too much damage from that, so he probably should be in good shape. If he could get the throttle down a little bit easier on exit, he'll be a contender as we go on as well.
So all of the drivers here on pit road getting service to their car, or in this case truck, as Andrew Himmelman has some connection issues in the number 8 machine, and he's not going to win the race off pit road. It will be Ben Izenga winning the race off pit road, so he holds station. Ben Mashburn third off pit road, he holds station. Same thing with Chris Darling. Jordan Scheffler are going to come out 5th. Vincent Valvano and Stan Hausman 6th and 7th. Matt Cherry, Adam Dama, and Doug Neal rounding out your top 10 on pit road. Jason Shue just now getting rolling in the number 3 machine. He will be the 11th truck to roll off of pit road, and that's what we're down to. No need for the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award, because, well, as I say that, it might actually go to JT Poole. I'm not sure when JT made his way back up onto the racetrack, but JT Poole in the number 26 machine is back out there and becomes the 12th truck running. So JT, who blew an engine early on in an accident by getting yeeted by iRacing, pretty much, Garrett, he might be picking up that Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award here for the remainder of the night.
Well, either way, Brookstone deserves a plug, so I'm glad you did that. But if you're JT, why not? If your truck got repaired, I mean, he said he had 40 minutes of damage. There's so many trucks out of this race, and every position counts. And if you could get out here with 60 about laps to go and gain 5-6 positions, and who knows, maybe even some more the way things are going, you have to take that chance and get out there. Even if you're going to be off the pace, just stay out of the way. And looks like we're doubling up here, Peter.
Yeah, we are doubling up, and nope, maybe we'll go another lap. So the good old NSRA Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series admins throwing us for a loop up here in the booth. They've done that before, and I'm sure they'll continue to do it. Let's go check out the chat here tonight. Stay Tuned Sports saying, talk about timing for JT. James Morello saying, not worth my time to continue racing, fellas. Good luck. Hopefully you can sit here and watch the rest of the race on 3Y TV. Stay Tuned Sports saying maybe next week, James. And of course, you know, James is sponsored by Stay Tuned Sports. Got Stay Tuned Sports podcast on the hood of the number 9 machine. And Garrett, of course, very controversial news here in the National Sim Racing Association coming out about the limit to iRating that is going to be hardly, well, not hardly, but fully enforced, strictly enforced, that's the correct word I was looking for, strictly enforced next year. If you have an I rating over 3,000, you will not be able to race in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series next season. So that is going to definitely shake up the field, that is for sure. The green flag is back in the air, and Ben Izenga, the 07 machine, will lead us back to turn number 1 as Ben Mashburn going to slide up into second. Garrett, we saw Ben Izenga and Andrew Himmelman locked in a battle, and they're going to be locked in a battle again now, but they are on equal tires now as they both just came down pit road.
Peter, I was actually going to ask you as you were going green there, if you were in that A truck on the outside line, what your strategy would be on the restart. Would you try to beat the leader into turn 1, or would you try to get in line behind the next truck on the inside? But if you're Andrew, again, we talked about before, have some patience, one truck at a time. And as we see Chris Darling entering in the mix, as we can tell tonight, Chris isn't here to make friends. He's here to win the race, and Matt Cherry is having another issue, Peter.
Yeah, Matt Cherry goes around, caution flag back in the air, and JT Poole's going to be picking up another lucky dog. This time, though, looks like it was just kind of a single truck incident. Again, we've seen Matt Cherry have a whale of a night with the back end of the number 38 Ford F-150. And, just getting slideways is the best way to put it there, Garrett, and locks it down, doesn't make any contact with the inside wall. That's the good news, but that's the second time I think we've seen Matt Cherry bring out a caution flag here tonight. So I'm sure the in-race officials will be telling him, hey, buddy, blow it down.
I'm just impressed he hasn't hit anything. I think all the times he got sideways, he still hasn't hit anything. That was a pretty conservative type of caution for my racing. Usually they wait until more cars are involved, but since he was sideways on the racing surface, I guess that's why the yellow came out. But good job getting through that, everyone, and we'll stack them up again and have another restart.
Yeah, that we will. Don't think we'll see any takers on pit road. We'll just have to wait and see whether or not anyone does elect to come down. But with all these drivers just coming down a lap or two prior, don't really expect to see anyone give up the track position unless you're drivers like Doug Neal, who might have a little bit of damage to your truck that is worth repairing. Looks like Doug Neal's going to stay out. A couple of the drivers further back. Jordan Shepler's going to come down. Matt Cherry's going to come down. Jason Shue's going to come down pit road. Adam Dama in the number 82, the Army Esports Racing Machine. He has been on pit road now for quite a few laps. I'm thinking here, Garrett, that maybe Adam Dama has called it quits as well. But there he is. You're a lucky dog. Again, the Brookstone Animal Hospital lucky dog. JT Poole, for the record, he is currently 70 laps down. I really hope we don't see 70 cautions. So JT, you're not going to get back on the lead lap here tonight, buddy. But showing some resilience, still out there running there, Garrett. Got the playoff banner on that Ford F-150, and obviously that's why he's just trying to do all he can to minimize the impact of that early race incident.
I'm sure the folks at Brookstone Animal Hospital really appreciate JT coming out and giving them an opportunity to be seen on TV. I mean, yeah, he's 70 laps down, but like we said, he's getting his laps back. He's going to be passing trucks. And that's all you can do. When you have a bad night, don't make it worse. Do your best, and that's what JT's doing.
Yeah, so he'll come back down pit road and get what he needs to get done to that 26 machine. But Pace Truck lights continue to twinkle atop the iRacing.com official Pace Truck here. Folks, thank you for joining us here on 3 Wide TV. As you can see, the number is ticking ever closer to 1,000 in the subscriber column. So if you have not yet subscribed to 3Y TV, we would very much appreciate you hitting that button, as well as thumbs up. And Stay Tuned Sports asking for polls. You know, I just haven't really thought of a good poll question here tonight. Just be honest with you, I haven't thought of one. I've thought about doing a poll a couple times, and it's just nothing's popped into my head tonight. Maybe I'm not creative. I don't know, but we have final 50 laps. Maybe I'll ask how many caution flags we will see in the final 50 laps. We'll ask that, and we'll, I guess, have to wait to the end of the stream to find out. But Garrett, it's been an interesting race, a race of attrition as really we're down to just 10 trucks on the lead lap now. With Jason Shue and Matt Cherry, the final two. We're down to 11 running trucks with JT Poole technically still running many laps down. Like I said, 70 laps down in the number 26 machine. So 10 trucks. We're looking at your race winner somewhere amongst this group of people here tonight, Garrett. As looks like pace truck lights have been extinguished. Hopefully we can make a little bit of a green flag run here towards the end of the show.
The 8 and the 07 have pretty much been the class of the field so far, but if I'm in this race right now, I'm treating it with the super speedway mentality that I could win this race. And I think if you're in the field right now, that has to be your thought process. Keep your truck clean until the end, and then you never know what might happen. So get a good restart here. Don't spin the tires. Don't wreck into somebody, and just keep your truck clean as we go into turn 1.
Yeah, Izenga will lead us down into turn number 1. That side-by-side battle between Ben Mashburn and the number 8 there of Andrew Himmelman continuing to not back down. Oh, you know what I just realized? We weren't live. We were not live, and somehow Chris Darling has squeaked his way, and we're 3 wide. Look at this, 3 wide off into turn number 3, and Mashburn backs out of it, and Chris Darling's found a way to get up into second in front of Andrew Himmelman. And oh no, Jordan Scheffler's going around. Jordan Scheffler's hard into the inside wall. Caution is out. I'm going to have to update my graphic, or my poll question. I don't think that counts, but unfortunately Jordan Scheffler, quite a bit of damage on the number 13 truck. Let's see what happened here. It says hard luck on the side of that number 13 machine, and this is a bit of hard luck here in this accident, Garrett.
Jordan was having a good run, and just, again, that throttle control off of the corner is bitting so many people here tonight. And the 13 doesn't look like it's going to be terminal damage, but definitely not what you wanted to do here in the last 50 laps is get any kind of damage when you're solidly in the top 10 in the running order.
So we'll go on board here with the driver of the number 13 machine, Jordan Scheffler, as lights up the rear tires. You see him try to save it. He started to feel that truck get light, but unfortunately the inside wall was calling his name. And that number 13 truck will have to come down pit road and get some damage repaired. Now, up at the front of the field, Izenga leads Chris Darling. Himmelman is going to have to restart in third, although being on the inside groove might work out for Andrew Himmelman. Although, will we have takers on pit road? Maybe. Yes, we will. We got some takers with the number 11, Chris Darling, coming down. Looks like Ben Mashburn. We got Vincent Valvano, Doug Neal, Stan Hausman, Jason Shue, and Jordan Scheffler. And we have some stunning news. Everyone will be shocked to find out. JT Poole, for the 3rd consecutive caution, is our Brookstone Animal Hospital lucky dog. And for every other caution, potentially for the remainder of the night, it will be the number 26 machine, unless we see someone else get back out there onto the racetrack. But I'm not seeing that happening at this current junction of the race. But yeah, like you said there, Garrett, I'm sure Stan Hausman and the Brookstone Animal Hospital are happy that JT's out there running, because otherwise we wouldn't have Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award to hand out.
A lot of other companies are probably watching this race right now thinking, what can I do to sponsor that Lucky Dog Award? I mean, it's been on the screen so many times. The amount of advertising revenue he's generating is incredible. So, if you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, make sure you check out our friends over at the Brookstone Animal Hospital for all of your animal pet hospital needs. But we have 46 laps remaining here, if you do the math, left at the Milwaukee Mile, so 46 miles. It is Izenga, Himmelman, Matt Cherry, your top 3. Cherry, of course, able to get up there by not pitting. Chris Darling, Doug Neal, Vincent Valvano, Stan Hausman, and Jason Shue, your top 8. Jordan Scheffler having an extended stay on pit road. Ben Mashburn, something must have happened to Ben. He had a very lengthy pit stop, 44 seconds for the number 24 machine. Not sure if he sped on pit road or something like that to warrant that penalty. But Ben Mashburn is going to restart all the way back in 9th. But Scheffler continues to stay in his pit box to get as much damage repaired as possible. You can see, if you look very, very closely, you can see iRacing sometimes pull out some of the fenders
the invisible pit crews that you see here in the Station Sports Podcast Truck Series. Of course, iRacing has not quite gotten to the point graphically where they can have a bunch of pit crew people on pit road. And, one thing about iRacing here, Garrett, iRacing's been around now for quite some time. Is Andrew Himmelman having connection issues? What's happened to Andrew Himmelman? What's happened to Andrew Himmelman? Himmelman, is he back? He's back. Whew. That was a lengthy blip there for the number 8 of Andrew Himmelman. We've seen crazy things here tonight, but wouldn't that be crazy if Andrew Himmelman had connection issues, fell out of the race? Oh, boy.
We have too many people using the internet at that house. We have Mom streaming. Ben's probably streaming. We need to get them over to, well, obviously with Ben's situation, not right now, but we need to get them to a neighbor's house or a viewing party so that Andrew could race in peace and that the internet could be all his.
Well, again, we're having connection issues with Andrew Himmelman. We're about to go back green flag here. And Himmelman, there he is. He's popping back, but he's in front of the leaders. He might get a black flag for that. Green flag waves, and everyone scatters. Andrew Himmelman drops way back in the field. Does he have a black flag there? Possibly, for passing the leader at the time the green flag fell. That might be a penalty on the number 8 machine. We'll have to see how that goes. He drops well back in the field, but connection issues might have just hampered the man who's obviously been the fastest, started this race on the Craig Setup Shop pole position. Will he have to come down pit road here to serve a penalty or not? We're just waiting to see. No, he stays out, so that is at least a good sign. But he has a lot of work to do to catch up to the front. Ben Izenga leading here at Milwaukee over Chris Darling. Matt Cherry in third. Doug Neal in fourth. I'm sure Tana Himmelman in the chat will be breathing a sigh of relief that that number 8 machine seems okay. There he is getting around the lapped car of JT Poole. The very, 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 very lapped car of JT Poole, might I add. As Izenga leads, Ben Mashburn side by side with Stan Hausman. As, Ben Mashburn is, car on pit lane, truck on pit lane, Jason Shue, and Garrett, I was just waiting for that to happen. Jason Shue's the first one to have that happen, spinning onto pit road here tonight.
Oh, my boy Shue running at the back of the pack, keeping the number 3 Chevrolet clean, and just, wow, he could not have done that better. Oh, he hit the wall. I thought he wasn't going to hit the wall and get in there perfectly. Oh, tough break for my buddy in the back.
Now let's get another look at that one on the number 3 machine right here. We'll get a look kind of from the pit lane cam as he comes out of turn number 4, gets loose, and then bam, just clips that wall. That is really, really unfortunate for the driver of the number 3, who'd been putting together such a good race. He's in his pit box right now, so we'll go a couple of laps down. Hopefully that is not terminal damage for the number 3 machine of Jason Shue, because if it is terminal damage, we're down to just 9 trucks on the lead lap here, and whether or not it's terminal damage, we're down to just 9 trucks on the lead lap as Jason Shue now finds himself 2 laps down, still sitting in his pit box, yet to return to the racetrack. That puts Stan Hausman as the last running truck on the lead lap. Can you believe that, Garrett? How this race has been so topsy-turvy. Andrew Himmelman in the number 8 machine right there. He just got around Ben Mashburn, who, believe it or not, is on fresher tires than Andrew Himmelman, but Himmelman's still able to pull off that pass. He has about a second and a half to catch up to Vincent Valvano, who is running in the 00 machine inside the top 5. How great of a run this is here tonight for Vincent Valvano, Garrett. Last week, I think, here on the channel, we posted one of those videos of Vincent Valvano and his Madden escapades over the years, but showing us how it's done here with the top 5 here in the carsforcause.org Ford F-150.
Sorry, I stepped on you there for a second, Peter. I thought I was just going to compliment Vinny, who's become a friend. We have fun racing with each other every week, and he's I call him the gentleman of total non-stop racing, because he's honestly the nicest guy, and you want nothing but good things for him. And these runs here on Friday nights in the top 10, top 5 give him so much confidence. It enables him to get better, and it's a great thing. And I'm grateful for NSRA for the opportunity for Vinny to run here.
Yeah, so Vincent running right now in 5th behind Doug Neal, Matt Cherry, Christopher Darling, kind of a 4-truck train as Darling gets loose. Matt Cherry gets loose. I should have known that, Garrett, with the way Matt Cherry's been getting loose all night long. If you see a truck wibble or wobbling out there, chances are it's this man right here in the number 38 machine, as he is being hounded by Doug Neal. Now, what a recovery it has been for the Simbox number 77 of Doug Neal. We thought his night might have been done after being involved in an early race caution, but he finds himself just inside the top 5 in 4th position, as looks like Andrew Himmelman has caught the 0-0 here of Vincent Valvano as they head down the backstretch and off towards turn number 3. Himmelman hooking that low line, and no one here, Garrett, has been able to hook that low line in turn number 3 like Andrew Himmelman has, and I think that's been one of the keys to his pace here around this racetrack.
Absolutely. Andrew seems to have this place figured out, and it's amazing because the last time we were watching Andrew, he was right with the 24 of Ben Mashburn, who's on newer tires like you mentioned, and we went to this shot and Ben Mashburn's in a separate pack and Andrew's up chasing these guys down. So right now you have to, if you're in the 07 of Ben Izinga, you have to think, well, I got a break. Andrew had that mistake on the restart. Can I hold on to this lead and capitalize? But with the way Andrew's driving, it's going to be one heck of a finish as we see, I believe, the 38 get loose again.
Yeah, again, that number 38 has that back end kick out, but Himmelman has a tall task in front of him. He has Doug Neal, Matt Cherry, and Chris Darling, 3 playoff drivers looking out front of that Chevrolet. He makes a big dive to the inside of Doug Neal. Neal definitely opened up that door, didn't try to close it, so Himmelman here has a great opportunity to make this pass stick. This would be for the 4th position as they head across the start-finish line, and Himmelman sends it off into turn number 1, almost getting to the back bumper of Matt Cherry, but you see Himmelman once again flirting with that white line where all that grip is. It's the shortest way around the racetrack, but that white line, the way it rubbers up in the race, it just really helps. It allowed him to get that launch up off the corner, and again, Himmelman's flirting with that white line through turn number 3 and 4, pulls level with Matt Cherry. That's 2 trucks in 1 lap there, Garrett. Himmelman here on a charge with Chris Darling now separating him and the race leader Ben Izenga up at the front.
I know I can't speak for you on this, Peter, because you're fast no matter where you go, but I would just like for 1 lap to be as fast as Andrew Himmelman and be able to pass 2 cars a lap. I'm lucky if I pass 2 cars a race sometimes, and he's making it look so easy as he's chasing down number 11 of Chris Darling.
On board right now with Andrew Himmelman. We'll take a look out back at that battle that he now leaves for the 4th position for between Cherry, Neal, and Valvano. On board right here with Cherry. There's Doug Neal. There's Vincent Valvano out back. And then back behind them, you have JT Poole in his as repaired as it's going to get number 26 machine. And Stan Halston's back there in the number 39 in the 7th position. But how long will it be until Chris Darling and Andrew Himmelman get locked up in a battle as your race leader, Ben Izenga, gets loose, and Izenga goes around, and caution flag is out here. My, oh my, the one person you didn't expect to see spin here tonight, Ben Izenga, your race leader, has now gone around in turn number 4. Garrett, kind of the same story that we've said multiple times here tonight, just got loose, too much beans, and tried to save it, locked it up. Good job of locking it up, spins it around right there, doesn't hit anything. That's the good news, but I think it's going to lose every bit of track position he had.
Peter, I don't know what's real anymore at this point. Is this some kind of simulation that you're like making me learn broadcasting in? Some of the incidents tonight have just been absolutely one of a kind and incredible. Like, you would never expect that to happen to Ben Izinga, as he had a pretty comfortable lead in the race there. I'd like to actually watch that again if you don't mind. Yeah,
we'll try and get another look at that here in just a moment. It seems like everyone in the chat thinks we're going to have 3 or more cautions. I think this is number 2 from the last 50 laps. So we will see if we get another one, and the chat would be right. But looks like Himmelman is going to win the race off pit road. How about that? Himmelman beats Chris Darling off pit road. So Himmelman will have the race lead when we go back green. Let's see if we can go back here, Garrett, and see if we can figure out what happened. Let's see if we can go on board with the spinning 07 here of Ben Izenga here on the 3-wide TV replay.
Oh, we see him in here into 3. He looks fine. Then he gets a little bit out of the groove. Did you think maybe he was too hard on the gas there on old tire speeder?
This is one that I might have an explanation for. Might not. Let's see if we can go up on the roof cam. So this racetrack here, he's working his way through the corner. Let's see when he gets loose. So there is a little cliff right here, right down there, and you can kind of see it right there. He's missed it. You can see he's missed what I was curious about. But right where that access road is, you can see how the racetrack kind of looks a little bit different. It kind of, the yellow curb gets a little bit narrow. It kind of shifts around. Well, there's actually a little bit of a dip in the racetrack right there. And as your tires load up, it can give you a lot of grip. But it can also change the balance of your car, or truck in this instance, and you can see that's about when he starts to get loose. So I think what happened is he just kind of hit that little area of the racetrack. You see him trying to slide it here, and now at this point he's lost control of the truck. But I'm just wondering if that little dip in the racetrack, which is much more prevalent if you're down there on that yellow line, and you don't want to be down there on that yellow rumble strip down there at that point, because you will end up losing control of your truck. That's for sure. But I think that might be what happened. Now, it could just be a coincidence that's where he tried to get the power down, and it all kind of went awry. But unfortunately for Ben Izenga, he's going to lose that lead and drop all the way to 7th. Himmelman, on the other hand, won the race off pit road. Great pit stop by his SimShots crew, and he is back where he started the night, up in the race lead. But good news, Garrett, is the pace truck lights have turned off, and we're going to go back green here in just under a half a lap.
I know the folks at Brookstone Animal Hospital are going to be disappointed that JT Poole did not get another lucky dog on that yellow. I believe Jason Shue got it, so JT's run of lucky dogs might be over, but I'm looking forward to getting back green, and let's see what these guys have.
Pace truck coming down pit road, and there is the green flag as Himmelman gets a great jump off in towards turn number 1. Look at that. The battle is going to be back behind him for second. Now look at this 3-wide action there in the middle of the pack. Is Izenga going to drop to the inside, going to try and get as many positions as he can back, already up to the back bumper of the 5th spot. That is the number 39 of Stan Hausman.
Wow, some of these guys are certainly making their presence known as we get the go time. And I was just watching the 00 of Vincent Valvano as we have the 77 spinning.
Yeah, and the 13 machine has gone around back there. Doug Neal around, Jordan Scheffler around. That will be our 3rd caution flag in the final final 50 laps. So the chat wins that one. So let's see what happened here with Jordan Scheffler and Doug Neal. Were these two incidents related here, Garrett? Doesn't look like they were. Let's go on board here with Jordan Scheffler and see what happened to Doug Neal. And you could see Doug Neal, he got loose at the same spot of the racetrack. Unfortunately, Jordan Scheffler got loose a little bit later, and Scheffler, the number 13, nosed it into the wall pretty good there. And I think that number 13 is smoking. Indeed, it is. Doug Neal in the number 77. He will, I think, get away okay, but let's see what happened here. Again, let's slow this down. Watch the rear suspension. Again, one of the 3-wide TV not so real cams. Watch the rear suspension right about here. So he gets down close to those rumble strips, and you can kind of see it's very slight, but that rear suspension all of a sudden starts to almost hop. Let's see if we can slow it down one more time. Go back just a little bit. Right here. Just watch that rear suspension. It's we'll kind of watch it through how smooth it is kind of through the corner. It's all smooth right here, kind of smooth, kind of smooth, kind of smooth. He starts to get down to the bottom side of the racetrack, and then you kind of just see it kind of hops a couple of times. That gets the back end of the race truck out of the racing groove, And when it does that, it's just going to lose that grip. Now, unfortunately for Doug Neal, this will give you a good indication of what exactly happened to Doug Neal and that truck, because the second time we've seen here tonight, like Jason Shoegarrett, a driver end up on pit road, but similar story here with Doug Neal, just barely clipping that wall. Not as bad as Jason Shoe did, but maybe a little bit more right side damage to the 77. I think he'll be able to carry on okay.
This pit road's hard to get in under caution, and these guys are doing it under green and sideways, which is a little bit impressive. Unfortunately for them, they're not gaining any positions when doing so and getting some damage. But like we were talking about before, on the last restart, it's go time now. So with the field stacked up, you're taking the opportunity to maybe get in that gas a little bit harder, maybe brake a little bit less and a little later. And all that leads to these extra yellows, because these guys are trying to get every inch that they can. And, I mean, for the fans, for the leagues, for the sponsors, you obviously want some green flag racing, and I'm hoping these last 20 laps can go green. But with what we've seen tonight so far, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a couple more yellows, just because guys are trying to get every inch out there.
Yeah, sure enough. They are trying to get every single inch, every single position. Now, one driver who will be very happy with his performance there under that last restart, we're right on board with him right here, Ben Izenga. Ben found himself all the way back in what I believe was the 7th or 8th position on that restart. He's now back up into 4th. Of course, he was a race leader when he spun there about 10-15 laps ago. You're also seeing the number 23 machine returning to the racetrack. That's right, that is Travis White there kind of on your left side of your screen. He is pacing his way around, being scored on lap number 73. Your race leader, Andrew Himmelman, is on lap 130. So you do the math, and the number 23 is about 60 or so laps down in that truck, but one of the few drivers to return to the track here tonight, as has JT Poole. In fact, JT Poole is battling Steven Doziak for position. Only thing is that Steven Doziak is on pit road, so JT Poole will move up to the 14th position with this lap. Of course, that's extremely important with him being in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series playoffs. James Zarello in the number 9 machine is also losing a spot to Travis White, and JT Poole will be able to catch the number 9 of James Zarello as well. So, championship implications. I like to call it championship Incas here for some reason in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. For sure, here tonight at the Milwaukee Mile. Pace truck heads down pit road. The number 8 machine of Andrew Himmelman leads his way off into turn number 1 with Chris Darling and Matt Cherry back there battling for second and third. Looks like Darling is going to hold on to that spot, but another wiggle out the back of the number 38 machine. How about that save for him? Izenga is going to slot himself up to 4th. Now he's looking to the inside of Cherry as they go off into turn number 3.
I'm curious to see this 07 of Ben Izenga if he's able to catch Andrew under green flag conditions, or if he's going to need yellows to get himself back up to maybe have a shot on a final restart. It's going to be incredible to watch, and I'm hoping at least we have an opportunity for a good battle to the finish.
Yep. So right now, Stan Houseman battling with Ben Mashburn, but looks like Mashburn's going to take that 5th spot. All eyes are on Izenga as he climbs up towards the front. Himmelman up at the very front has got himself already up to a 1-second race lead. As I fight off the yawns here, folks, it's 9:41 here in Texas, and it's getting kind of late. Meanwhile, new fastest lap of the race. Andrew Himmelman just ran a 30.12. No other driver has cracked the 30.4 second bracket. Actually, I take that back. Ben Izenga ran a 30.38 earlier in the race. But Himmelman just laying down fast laps right now, pulling away from Chris Darling. It's up to 1.5 seconds. I don't think anyone has the pace for Andrew Himmelman once he gets out front. But here is Ben Izenga, probably the only driver that we have seen have similar pace to Andrew Himmelman. He is underneath Matt Cherry, and this is right now for 3rd.
good battle for third place, and I'm just impressed with the. Oh wow, Ben took some liberties in that corner there. Tried to clear him, and well, he ended up succeeding. But like I was gonna say, Chris Darling in number 11 having a solid run after the incident with the number 9 truck of James Lorello. Just hoping for a finish for Chris, but it's gonna be a tough battle to hold off that 07, and then we'll see what the 07 has for Andrew.
Yep. So right now, the number 24 Ben Mashburn just got around almost got around Matt Cherry. He wasn't quite able to make that pass stick, so Cherry's going to stay in 4th. Currently, Jason Shu is the biggest mover of the race in the number 3 machine, plus 10 spots. He is currently a couple of laps down in the number 3 Chevrolet, but he is in the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog position spot if he was to get another caution flag or 2, as we're now down to just 15 laps to go. And with the way that this group of drivers here are very much bunched up, Garrett, you got, of course, Stan Hausman and Doug Neal, a couple of playoff drivers here battling for that position. We could see another caution flag with the way they've been falling here tonight.
Well, you just put the camera on whoever you want to jinx, Peter, because you've proven pretty good at it so far. But I'm hoping these guys will give some good side-by-side battles. But this is a heck of a pack. It goes back to my thoughts earlier about almost like a super speedway pack, because that's what it looks like. There's guys getting runs like crazy and dive bombing people.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, the number 39 machine, nonetheless, Stan Hausman putting together a great race in the Beer Street Journal machine. Of course, one of the series sponsors. In fact, let's give a shout out to the series sponsors here tonight. We got, of course, Stay Tuned Sports. Their link to their Podbean link is in the description here tonight. stsports.podbean.com. Buttkicker, thebuttkicker.com. If you want to add a little bit of something to your sim rig, well, they are the people to check out, as those butt kickers are absolutely awesome. If you're looking to get a little bit faster out there on the racetrack, check out craigsetupshop.co.uk. They have some of the best iRacing setups in the business. Definitely someone to check out. BetAngles Betting, if you are a bettor and hoping to get the angles on the games here tonight, and there isn't a whole lot going on beyond baseball and the Olympics at the moment, but BetAngles will help you out with all of the betting that you are going to do. MaxGrafix, MaxGrafix.co, Brookstone Animal Hospital in the greater Atlanta, Georgia area. Taz Racing Customs, Facebook.com/Taz Racing Customs for all of your custom diecast needs. Sim Shots, if you want some. Whoa! Ben Izenga almost running into the back of Chris Darling right there. There's a link to the Sim Shots Facebook page, but Sim Shots, if you need some really cool photos of these races, maybe your league has a race, well, hit up Sim Shots. You can go over there and send them a replay. They will take some high-quality pictures of your iRacing event, as well as, of course, Beer Street Journal, sponsor of the Beer Street Journal Last Call here. We don't call it a green-white checker. We call it the Beer Street Journal Last Call, and make sure to check out beerstreetjournal.com, as we're down to just 10 more laps to go here at the Milwaukee Mile. 10 miles, 10 laps, easy math there, but we're looking at the battle for the second position right now. Stan Hausman has been able to pull away from Doug Neal. So, in fact, Stan Hausman able to pull away from Ben Mashburn now, as Hausman here looking for a top 5 at this racetrack. And Hausman's been one of those drivers here this season who's been very, very good on the super speedways, but Hausman only has one top 5 to his name all season long, and that was his win at Talladega Super Speedway. So Hausman here looking for top 5, number 2, coming good at the right time of the season. Andrew Himmelman, meanwhile, lapping Adam Dama, who has returned to the racetrack in the 11th position, about 20 laps down as they run. But here comes Ben Izenga, battle for second here, Garrett.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Peter, the 07 is teammates with James Lorello, so I'm hoping there's no bad blood here and they battle with some civility. But as we saw earlier, just because Andrew Himmelman has a huge lead, and I'm sorry for even saying this because I'll get accused of jinxing him, but we saw what happened when Ben was out front. Anything can happen. Like, just because we're watching this battle for second place doesn't mean that this race is all said and done. And if you've got, as we're watching the guys in the top 5 here as well, you never know how this might shake out over these last 7 laps.
Yeah, that is definitely the case. Now, going back to last week, kind of an interesting thing happened last week at Kansas Speedway. which had championship implications here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series playoffs. Ben Izenga did not show up for Kansas. He did request a provisional for that race, but he requested the provisional after the drop of the green flag. The rules here in the National Sim Racing Association are, if you're going to call a provisional, you must do so before the drop of the green flag. So Ben Izenga did not score any points last week at Kansas. Zero. Nada. Zilch. And because of that mistake, he is not in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series playoffs here tonight. So had he have called that just, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours earlier, definitely Izenga would have been one of our championship contenders, but because he didn't, he lost out that position, and unfortunately he has no shot now of competing for the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series title. But he still has a lot to play for on the line, although Chris Darling here, Garrett, starting to pull away in second.
Yeah, Chris Darling showing his strength here as we got some laps on the tires. I don't know if Ben used up his stuff with some of those more aggressive passes he was trying to make, as we're looking at the 24 of Mashburn and the 77 battling here towards the middle of the pack. And JT spinning.
JT Poole goes around, and we're going to have a Beer Street Journal last call here on 3 Wide TV. Caution flag back in the air here tonight. Let's see what happened to bring out this caution flag, and I'm sure we'll see a plethora of drivers come down pit road here in just a brief moment. The question is going to be 2 or 4 tires for a lot of these drivers. JT getting loose right there coming out of turn number 4. How many times have we seen that here tonight? Locks it down. And Ben Mashburn almost running into the back of Doug Neal. But those drivers stay off of one another. But that will bring out the caution flag, and we'll have a Beer Street Journal last call attempt here in just a moment. Big question, like I said, Garrett, is going to be to come down pit road. 4 tires, 2 tires, no tires, stay out, pit, whatever. We're about to find out the different strategies that we're going to see amongst these drivers here in probably 15, 20 seconds from now.
Well, if I'm Andrew, I mean, you've been dominating this race. You don't want to lose based on strategy, so I'm guessing he's going to come in for 4 tires and take his chances. But to go back to the yellow, JT Poole's just out here logging laps, and he probably has a sick feeling in the stomach because you never want to impact the race as a lap-down vehicle, and especially when his friend was leading. But, wow, we had some trucks stay out on old tires, Peter. This is going to be incredible.
Yeah, so about half of your lead, well, I guess a little bit less than half of your lead lap trucks came down pit road. The other half staying out. So Himmelman, Darling, Cherry, Neal, and Valvano are your 5 trucks who elected to stay out. Jason Shue here will be picking up your Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award, so he'll be back now to just being 1 lap down behind your race leader. He will need a second attempt at the Beer Street Journal last call. The Beer Street Journal last call, if we got another caution flag to come out. But Jason Shue there running in the 9th position. But yeah, I mean, Izenga on fresh tires, he took 4 tires. He's going to be restarting this race in 6th on the outside, which might be beneficial here, Garrett, because I know there's not a whole lot of grip up there, but fresher tires helps negate that fact. We know he's going to be hard charging up through the field. But Himmelman only has to hold on for 2 laps up at the very front of the field. Darling's up there, Cherry's up there, Neal's up there. I mean, what are these drivers going to try and do? Might we see some dive bombs? Might we see... I mean, Darling was obviously taking care of his tires. Does he have anything for Himmelman? We know Himmelman was out there burning hot laps, fastest lap of the race, 30.12 just a little while ago. Has he used up his tires? We will have to find out here. Might we see a bump and run here at Milwaukee? It races like a short track. We could be in for one heck of a show here, folks.
The thing that's like, if you're in Andrew's position here leading the race, you're in a no-win situation. If you pit, guys are going to stay out. If you stay out, if I was behind Andrew, I would have pitted. Like, everybody probably should have pitted because you probably don't have anything for him otherwise. So this is going to be incredible on the restart to see what these guys on new tires can do, especially with the buffer of guys on old tires that stayed out. I mean, if you're Ben Izenga, you're not running for the championship. You have nothing to lose, so sail it in there and hope for the best, I guess.
Yeah, we will have to find out. And, of course, another attempt at a Beer Street Journal might change things as well. If Izenga can pick up another spot or 2 or 3 spots and then we get another caution flag, it could be completely a different ball game on another restart. As you see, everyone start to get doubled up here for our Beer Street Journal last call. Let's go check out beerstreetjournal.com and see what they have up on their website. Of course, they are on the number 39 machine of Stan Hausman here tonight. And top story on beerstreetjournal.com, Bell's Double Two-Hearted Ale makes summer return. If you like the Two-Hearted Ale, which is an American IPA, the Double IPA will, of course, give you that little bit more of that hoppy flavor. And they just had it at one of the local bars here in my town. Not the Double Two-Hearted, but the single Two-Hearted, the normal Two-Hearted Ale. Very, very tasty IPA that Bell's up there in Michigan has to offer. But, so that gives you a little bit of a sneak peek at thebeerstreetjournal.com as the base truck heads down pit road. Make sure to check them out. And we're back racing here at Milwaukee 2 laps ago, and Darling got a stellar start on that high line. Can he take the race lead here going off into turn number 1?
Wow, great jump by Chris Darling in the 11 on old tires. He had them cleaned off, and he was ready to go when that restart zone came up. But it looks like Andrew might have a run here down the backstretch.
And look who's up to third already. That is Ben Izenga. Will Chris Darling give a little bit of a nudge to Andrew Himmelman? He might have just shoved him up. That gives Ben Izenga a big run. Still, Darling all over the back bumper as Izenga now looks to the inside here, coming out of turn number... Oh, Stan Hausman's going around in the back. He's coming back up the racetrack. White flag is in the air. We won't have a caution. Himmelman up at the front. Izenga now squeaks his way up into second. Can he close down on Andrew Himmelman as we get towards turn number 3 and 4?
This might be a photo finish, Peter, and I think everybody's hearts were in their throat with the truck spin in the back of the pack.
No caution flag coming out. Ben Mashburn going to the inside of Matt Cherry, but coming out of the final corner, Andrew Himmelman will take the win here in the Dunn Raceway Part 150 at Milwaukee Mile. Izenga second. Chris Darling comes home third. Ben Mashburn and Matt Cherry rounding out your top 5 here tonight. Vincent Valvano 6th. Doug Neal and Stan Hausman going to round out your 8 lead lap trucks at the end of the show. What a night here tonight, Garrett.
Wow, Peter. I don't even know what to say. I mean, if it was justified that Andrew won the race, but man, that strategy almost bit him staying out. Ben Izenga was coming hard with those fresh tires.
Yeah, I mean, if we had another attempt at a Beer Street Journal last call, if Stan Hausman had spun just a little bit sooner, I think that race would have been easily Ben Izenga's. But Izenga quite rightfully deserved second spot here tonight. He's going to come home with second. Himmelman, of course, going to take home the win. Burning it down here on the front stretch for all the fans to see. Of course, not only did he win the race, but he also started on the pole here tonight, doing exactly what he did last week at Kansas. And I think all people are looking at Andrew Himmelman to take home the title this season with all the momentum he's got right now.
I think the season finale at Las Vegas really fits his driving style. The tracks he's been good at, which he's been good at every track we've gone to, it seems. But I feel like that gives him an advantage just where the last race is this season. And I'm glad to see that Mom worked with him on his burnouts because they have gotten progressively better since the first race he won.
Yeah, he's been winning a lot recently. That is for sure here on 3Y TV. But of course, we're gonna have to get the top 3 drivers to interview here tonight. That is for sure. So we'll see if we can grab those drivers and see if we can grab a word with them here in just a moment. Himmelman there, just waiting to pull that car off the racetrack. So let's see if we can pick up tonight's third place finisher driver of the number 11 machine, Chris Darling. Chris, you got a copy?
I got you.
Well, kind of an interesting night. A lot of attrition, especially in the first half of the race. You're able to walk away with a third place finish. Tell us about it.
I don't really have a whole lot to say. I mean, it was a good race. It was fun. Finally had a setup that kind of was drivable and it wasn't too loose, wasn't too tight. So, I don't know, that's really all. I was just trying to be patient. It's kind of hard. It's a short track, so a lot of guys are getting into each other's bumpers all night. I know mine's a little bent up. Everybody's just got a few little dents in them. So, I don't know, it was a fun race for a change. I'm just happy to finally finish one after about 10 weeks of not finishing.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, able to get into the Stay Tuned Sports podcast Truck Series playoffs, and able to get a good run here tonight, and moving on next week, of course, to the Nashville Super Speedway. What are your thoughts about Nashville?
I've ridden that track one time, and it wasn't in a truck, so I don't really know. I'm probably going to show up Friday night and just cold turkey it, and probably just try to survive all night again like I did tonight.
All right. Well, definitely going to be an interesting one next week at Nashville Super Speedway. Of course, relatively new to the iRacing service. I know we used to run it back in the day in NR 2003, and I used to love going to that racetrack in NR 2003, but I've never raced it in iRacing myself, so going to be, I think, new for a lot of people when they hit the track next week. Before we let you go, any shout-outs that you have?
I want to give a shout-out to Taz Racing Customs on the hood of my car. It's a good friend of mine. Do a lot of work with him. I'm just happy to be able to get him a good finish finally. I'll give a shout out to Andrew. Kid's improved a ton over the past season and a half or so. So I don't know. He's doing great. He's gonna succeed. Wherever he races right now. He's pretty fast, so he's got to be the favorite. Big shout out Justin White taking over admin duties, taking a lot off our shoulders here at NSRA. So basically just all the sponsors of the league. Stay Tuned Sports. Stan Hausman, he sponsors a lot. Bear Street Journal, and pretty much everybody that sponsors the league. Just want to give a big shout out. Thank them.
Alrighty, well, Chris, congratulations on your third place finish here tonight. We'll see you next week at Nashville.
Thank you.
All right, well, now let's see if we can bring up tonight's second place finisher driver, the 07 machine. Maybe if he had an extra lap, Garrett, maybe he could have walked home with a win, but why don't you take it away, Garrett?
Hey, Ben, it's Garrett up in the booth. I have two questions for you. One, Peter and I would like to know what happened when you spun when you were leading. And the second question is, do you think you would have had Andrew with one more lap? And what do you believe that was the right strategy to come take tires at the end?
First answer, I have no idea. It was terrible, and I hated it. Second answer, I definitely would have had him if we had even one more turn. I had a huge run off turn 4, and I was definitely going to get him.
So you raced here on Monday with TNR, and you raced here tonight for the National Sim Racing Association. What's your overall thoughts about the racetrack? Is it a track that you like and that you feel like you got better at with more laps, or is it someplace that you wouldn't care if you ever came back to again?
Yeah, those were actually my only laps ever at this track. I bought the track last weekend. But I feel like I'm improving. Andrew definitely was the class of the field tonight, and he deserved every bit of that win, but I think I had some pretty good speed. It reminds me a lot of New Hampshire, which is one of my favorite tracks, and I do pretty well there, so that's probably why.
You definitely put on a show tonight, and we're exciting to watch. Next week, National Sim Racing Association heads to Nashville Super Speedway. Not many guys have run laps there, as Chris Darling alluded to in his interview. Do you have any experience there, and are you looking forward to that race?
I have limited experience, and that experience is pretty bad experience, so I really have no idea what to expect.
Well, it sounds like next week's race is going to be exciting, but I just wanted to congratulate you on your second place finish, and if you have any shout-outs or sponsors, you're more than welcome to take the time now and thank them.
Yeah, absolutely. NSRA, through ITV, you guys do an awesome job in the broadcast every week. S2R, my teammates, James, Bill, Spencer, Matt, USCRL Sim Racing, Purpose Driven Cycling. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Ben, and good luck next week. If I'm in the booth again, I'll be cheering you on a little bit.
Thanks, Garrett.
All right, that's going to do it for tonight's runner-up, Ben Izenga in the S2R07 machine, but now we get to go down to Victory Lane, where we're going to pick up Andrew Himmelman, tonight's race winner. Andrew, starting on the Craig Setup Shop pole, and then turning that into the win here tonight. You did not participate in that Buttkicker challenge. Of course, you picked up all the money last week in that anyway, so the pot wasn't very big, but it was a topsy-turvy race. There was definite times where things didn't appear to be going your way, especially with that connection issue that you had there with about 50 laps to go. Kind of talk us through the night and how you were able to overcome the many cautions and a lot of the attrition you saw out there.
Well, the first thing, we're going championship racing. Super excited. We're headed to the Final Four with the win. But in this race, I feel like we did the Buttkicker 5 times with fuel strategy, internet. I mean, we came from the back many times. I don't even really like this track, but it was a lot of just keeping your car clean and putting yourself in the right situation. You had to use your bumper a little bit if you couldn't get around someone. I know how to put a bumper to someone at some point. But I mean, we were all doing it out there. You just got to do what you got to do to get by people in that situation. The last caution, it is what it is. You just, I feel like at Kansas we had a late caution, and this we had a late caution. So you just got to keep digging. You got to keep going. I fully expected Chris to actually hit me harder than he actually did. So props to him. I thought he was going to win that one. I'm not going to lie.
Well, it was definitely an exciting finish, as it usually is here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series Playoffs. Of course, let's talk about the final 2 weeks. Next week, of course, you got Nashville Super Speedway and then Las Vegas. What are your thoughts about the final 2 races here this season?
Next week, we can kind of go in there and really just race. We don't have to practice a bunch. We're locked in to the Final Four. Vegas, that's a different story. We're going to have to put some practice laps in. Really try to be really good coming into Vegas. It would mean a lot to take home that championship. I feel like we've caught fire the last half of this season. First back-to-back winner. So I'm looking forward to it. And you probably get nervous a little on the last race, but it all comes down to that one.
Absolutely, that is for sure. Before we let you go, Andrew, you got any shout-outs for us tonight?
Yeah. My family, all my family for watching. My grandfather, my parents. Let's see. Buttkicker, GTR, Sim Shots. Colin, he was the teammate that was there with me tonight. He actually spotted with me a lot, or spotted for me, because he actually got wrecked multiple times. So, big shout out to him. Sim Shots. I think that's all I got. I'm probably forgetting one though.
Well, you know what? It probably won't be all too long before you're back up here in the 3 Wide TV booth, Andrew. Congratulations on the win here tonight. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, man.
All right, so that's going to do it with our post-race interviews here tonight. Let's see if we can bring up the final race results for you here on 3 Wide TV here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. And, of course, we'll have to go through the post-race awards as well. Taking home the win, Andrew Himmelman in the number 8 machine, as this is definitely not the Childhood Memories 150. That was ironically the race we had earlier this week here at this racetrack here. But Andrew Himmelman will take home the win. Ben Izenga coming home 2nd. Chris Darling in 3rd. Ben Mashburn 4th. Matt Cherry 5th. Vincent Valvano 6th. Doug Neal 7th. Stan Hausman, Jason Shue, and Adam Dama. Rounding out your top 10 there, Garrett.
Peter, I don't have the rest of the list in front of me, so you're going to have to finish off running order for us.
Man, oh man, falling flat on the job. Gee. I can very much finish this out.
I got it. Jordan Shepler coming home in 11th. Travis White in 12th. James Lorello had some bad luck early on. Our good friend Steven Doziak in 14th place. Not the run he was looking for tonight.
Is he really a good friend, though? I mean, come on.
I pretend to like him because his parents pay me to like him.
Gotcha.
Justin White, the sheriff, 92 laps down with some bad luck early on as well. Ullery helped his teammate win the race. Tristan Maher didn't beat himself this week, but he still finishes 136 laps down. And JT Poole, who got a million lucky dogs, 18th place, which there must have been a DQ there because he definitely ran more laps than some of those guys.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I'm not sure. I know they do have an incident point limit, and maybe he fell foul of that. Not 100% sure. I'm sure we'll find out about that over the next week. I do want to give a big shout out, of course, tonight to tonight's Biggest Mover of the Race award. That is going to go to driver of the number 3 machine. I take that back. Driver of the number 00 machine, as I can't do math. Vincent Valvano. In the 00, we'll be picking up the Taz Racing Customs Biggest Mover of the Race award. Sorry to get your hopes up there, Jason. But Vincent picked up 11 spots since the drop of the green flag at the beginning of the night. Started in 17th, now finishing in 6th. Congratulations to Vinny Valvano for picking that up here tonight. Make sure to check out Taz Racing Customs for all of your custom diecast needs. There's a link in the description of the video here tonight if you are curious of getting one of those custom diecasts yourself. But Garrett, that is basically going to do it here tonight. Hopefully we'll see you back in the truck next week at the beautiful Nashville Super Speedway, and there's a lot on the line for some of these drivers to close out the season.
Peter, I had fun in the booth, and I just wanted to thank you and 3Y TV and Stay Tuned Sports and NSRA and the administrators for having me. And if I need to fill in next week, I'll take any action with you because it's an amazing experience. And I'm looking forward to next week, whether it be on track or in the booth, because these guys week after week put on a great show, and I'm glad to be part of this league.
Absolutely. Well, folks, big shout out to Stay Tuned Sports and their podcast for sponsoring the series here tonight. Big shout out to our friends over at SimTV for the camera angles on 3Y TV and everyone else. So, folks, make sure you stay safe and have a good night. We shall see ya.